Right, I shall introduce you to our first speaker. We're going to talk about Panopto. And Panopto is our video recording lecture capture system. And here we have Keivan. I'm going to hand you over to who's going to talk you through how they've used it over in their department. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Dan, and a very warm good afternoon. It's such a beautiful summer day. I'm referring to the last Saturday and Sunday, of course. I'm Keivan. I'm a senior lecturer from School of Pharmacy, and we did use the Panopto for our final year students when we wanted them to somehow reflect on their 4-year journey on professional development and being involved in different interprofessional education activities. A little bit of background and putting into context why we thought using Panopto would be appropriate. The M-Form course is a professional course, and the motto in our school is building bridges for health. And right from day one, our emphasis for our students is that as a future healthcare professional, as a pharmacist, you need to put the patient at the center of your care and work in a multidisciplinary team, working with other healthcare professionals, namely nurses, medical doctors, biomedical scientists, social workers, OTs, dietitians, etc. And that's why we have put a high emphasis on the importance of having longitudinal and regular IP activities. Well, basically, if you look at this diagram as a road into professional development using different interprofessional activities, we decided to have a multi-pronged assessment where we use different methods. We did use reflective essays, infographics, poster presentation on the conference day that we are going to have on the 1st of May at the college level, College of Science, and last but not the least, the vodcast. And the vodcast basically was for the final year students to use their artistic impression by thinking of what they have done and creating a document, a file that was new for them, sat within the philosophy of students as a producers in the University of Lincoln, and also an innovative way for them to create something, an innovative way for us to assess them. And basically, to make sure that students were on the right page while coming and creating their videos, we made sure that we had a clear set of assessment rubrics and we communicated those with the students. And basically, with the great help of Ben in that time, we had a briefing session for the students, and Ben explained in detail that what Panopto was. They could use Panopto, or they could use any other softwares available to create their vodcast, but using Panopto in order to upload their videos, in order to get the assessment. My presentation here has a 2-minute video on what the students have created. Do you think you want to watch that to see what they have created? All right. So basically, as you saw the samples, we had to shorten them. We asked the students to tell us their journey in 5 minutes time, and we asked them to be as artistic as they could be. Although this activity paid so well and we are so happy for the documentation of the videos we have, definitely we did face some challenges, but I personally believe every challenge could eventually be translated into opportunities. So if you allow me, I will talk about opportunities first, and then we get to the challenges we had. As a matter of fact, the students acquired new knowledge. For sure, they learned how to use some of the new softwares, how to use Panopto and upload the work that they had created. It was a chance for them to welcome change and moving a little bit away from the orthodox methods of assessment, that is basically an examination, writing written exam, into creating a vodcast. And basically, some of the students who were faster in acquiring the knowledge did share their knowledge and skills with the other colleagues in order to help them to create their videos. However, the challenges were on the instructions. Although we thought that we had given clear instructions to the students, we realized that our instructions were quite wordy, and our students are the 3-click generation, and they have a very short span of attention and patience. So basically, they wanted a brief of those detailed instructions. And because the activities were quite new, you had to have those detailed instructions for them. So I think they wanted someone to narrate those instructions for them. It was the fear of using a new tool and technology. Those minority vocal students did voice the opinion, saying that why should we do this? We are not fine arts students. We are looking for the orthodox traditional methods of the assessment. And it was, I think, a little bit about the willingness to learn. And item number 4 that I added later was the challenge with the technical aspects, something like file size, video conversion, that without Ben's help, it could have not been possible to really address some of the panicky moments for those students who were worried if they're unable to meet the deadline to submit their videos. So I believe these kind of activities really need to have both academics and also digital education developers to really work hand in hand in order to let the things happen. So I've already put the challenges in, and I think if you have any questions in future, you can either ask me or Dr. Tamim or Dr. Michael Shaw, who is replacing our Ben. And so basically, that is what we did. And based on the context, we thought that creating a video would have been the most relevant way of assessing the students. And I think for the technical aspects, I leave it to you because I'm a novice user of Panopto myself.
Wonderful, thank you very much for your presentation. As per usual in our Digied events, we always like to get people, especially in the maker sessions.
Students can see their own feedback.
Right everyone, I'm going to call us all back together because it's time for Kirsty's presentation. She's going to be doing all about WordPress and blogging and how she's used it for student assessment to help her with her learning and teaching resources. So I shall lead you over to Kirsty.
It's now officially the afternoon, so good afternoon everybody. I feel quite bizarre actually because I've just spent the last 2 days assessing my Year 2 students on their presentation skills. So be kind, okay. So I started here in September and I kind of inherited this idea from the programme leader. And she basically wanted to provide a resource or a mechanism that students could store their work, upload their assessments, but also have some sort of two-way formative assessment within it. So she came up with the idea of using a blog with the kind support of the IT scheme. So the degree that this is related to at the moment is it's only in its 2nd year, so we've only got Year 1 and 2 students. It's a BSc in PE and Sport. And the idea is that students that take this course will ultimately go on to follow either a SCIT or a School Direct or a PGCE route into teaching. So what we thought about for this was one of the things we wanted to do was provide them with this resource so that they could build up a portfolio of evidence that they could use on their journey throughout their teaching career, as well as using it as a means to sort of evaluate their learning as they've gone along. So the way that we sort of set it up was we looked at the relevant modules within their degree and decided to focus it on all the ones that were related to education or to teacher training. So across the 3 years, there's a few modules that are going to use this, and everything they do within that module goes on to our blog site. So what we looked at basically was we wanted a blog site that we could make completely bespoke. So we looked at the modules we wanted to create, and we created everything using the module handbook. So for each of the drop-down menus, you can see that we could bespoke exactly what we wanted to say. So there's some information about the course itself, and there's information about each of the course contents as well. The key thing for us was the fact that we could also put assessment data in there for them so that they could refer to that to look at how it was going to be marked, because we wanted it to be a two-way process as opposed to just a resource bank for them. So this is an example of how we've used it as a form for assessment for learning, because that was one of the key things we wanted. We didn't want just something that was going to be a resource bank. We wanted something that we could use to sort of evaluate and appraise their level of understanding. So one of the things we do within all of the modules is they produce a weekly reflection based on the content of the lectures that they've had. So they upload these weekly reflections, and every sort of 2 to 3 weeks, I would then go through their blogs and monitor, because I wouldn't want to say I mark them, because I don't mark them as such. I just review them and give them a little bit of feedback, which, like that, you can see here. So I just give them a bit of feedback about the quality of their reflections, and just make sure that they're on board, because it is a prerequisite to passing the module. They have to complete these. The big thing for me and for us as a teaching and learning tool was it actually gave us that information about what they'd learned. Was there any gaps in their learning that we weren't able to address in the lectures? And from that, it helped understand what their level of learning was to help support them with their assignments, but also help me with my future planning. Because as you know, most of us will always plan our lectures in September or August, and then you kind of follow through and tweak them as you go along. But this was great because it gave me the opportunity to think, oh yeah, there's gaps in their knowledge here that I now need to readdress. And it was a fantastic tool for doing that, especially with the year 2s that were going out on placement as well. So if, for example, on their weekly reflections were on their placement, they were saying things like, gosh, we haven't had the opportunity to explore differentiation for teaching and learning, then I could obviously then go back to them and say, look, this is how you can adapt that to your teaching. So it was a really, really invaluable way of getting information from students, helping students to understand what they needed in order to meet the assessment criteria. And obviously the key thing for me was being able to give feedback to those students and have that open dialogue between the two of us. They can obviously comment back if they want to, which some of them have done, and it's a really good system to check that they're doing what they should be doing as well. Which, you know, with these students, you like to think they're autonomous, but they do need a little bit of spoon feeding at time. So what were the benefits of this programme, this blog, and what were I like to call them the considerations? Massive benefits was that it provides students with these invaluable resources that they can take away with them after they finish the degree. So they'll have access to this portfolio. So for example, a lot of the tasks that we set would be to build up resources on how to teach hockey, how to teach football, etc., etc., and they can build up those, take them with them when they start their teaching career. It provides an opportunity to correspond with students privately, which was quite nice. So some of them that might not be that confident to come up to you and say, I'm struggling with this, it gave me an opportunity to actually meet the individual needs of all the students. And it also enabled me to monitor where their level of learning was as well, which was invaluable. And provide key feedback about how effective the module's going. We all know we've got these module evaluations coming up at the moment. Hopefully, from what I've read, I'm preempting that I should get quite good module feedback from them, but it does help to see how much they're enjoying their placements, etc. And the nice thing is, at certain points, I can lock down their work, their blog sites, because they have to submit their assignments on their blog. So when they've submitted them, 12 o'clock cut down, I go through and I shut down their blogs for however long it takes me to mark them and get them back to them. And they know that, and that's quite useful. And actually, it's been a really enjoyable process, and I like the fact that I can just, whenever I want to, dip in and dip out of these blogs, which has been great. The considerations are that the assignments, and I don't know how this can be supported by IT, but they don't go through Turnitin. So obviously I've got to look for patterns, and if I have queries, then I have to independently run these through, turn it in. So that's probably one of the main issues. It works really effectively with a small cohort of students. So I've got 22 in year 2 and 30 in year 1, with a current probably 40 coming through, and I manage it myself because I'm the module leader, and at the moment that's manageable. If the numbers grow, it might not be as manageable. It is time consuming, so I do have to put aside, usually it's a Wednesday, I put aside a Wednesday every fortnight and I just go through the blogs. The other side of it is the students can change the appearance. We've set it up the way that we wanted it, that looked logical, and of course some of the students then go in and change it and put their football teams or whatever on it, and then you can't find some of their work. So that initial training is quite important. So they are trained on how to use it, but they forget. And also I think if we can lock down the fact that they can't change it, that would be more beneficial to me when I'm trying to find their work. And obviously there is some confusion on where to store their work. I don't know how, but there is a bit of confusion because it is very simple. But you know what they're like. They obviously go out on a Tuesday night and drink too much and then can't remember where to put everything. So, but the other thing is the support from IT has been excellent. Any issue, it's been dealt with straight away. I've worked a lot with Keivan on this, and he's been really, really good, really keen to see it developed as well. For him, it's quite interesting because once we've designed how we want the blog site to look, he then goes away and clones that blog site 30 times or 20 times, depending on how many you've got in that year group. And obviously the implications of that is if I suddenly think halfway through the year, I want to change this on the blog site, then he's got to go back and do that 30 odd times. So planning and preparation is quite important ahead of setting up the blog site. So that's pretty much about it. I have really enjoyed having this as a resource. It's really helped me planning and delivering and monitoring students, and that's been the key thing. That assessment for learning, that formative feedback's been really, really crucial. So we have a task for you, which I believe Dan will go through. Are there any questions at all? I like that.
Nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's all right.
Thank you very much. Kirsty. I'll take it off you if that's all right.
Yes, absolutely.
Oops. There you go. Mercy. So, your task today, if you choose to accept it, a bit like Mission Impossible, is to actually have a go at creating a blog post yourself, including an image, publish your post, and then commenting on somebody else's post. Now, for this particular website, this particular session, we've actually set up a blog site for you. And while you've been talking, I've actually added all of your usernames to that site. Oh, I try. Okay, so if you go to that first address there, which is lncn.eu/Digied-blog, it should take you to a login page. And the only thing which you need to do is log in your usual uni credentials. So that would be your start of your username without the @lincoln.ac.uk and then your usual password. It should log you in. Once you've done that, it's actually going to talk you through how to create that blog post in the first part, and then actually how to go back through, add images, and actually then how to comment on somebody else's post. So I'm very quickly going to get it up myself as well, just so you can see it here. So you should come through to a web page a bit like this, if you haven't already. In there, just type in your first part of your username. There we go. Once you're logged in, you'll get through to this is the dashboard page. To create a post, simply click on Post and click Add New. I always say for WordPress, if you can use Word, you can generally use WordPress because it's a very similar sort of style and layout. So you've got a really simple editor here. You've got a title for your blog post. In here is sort of like your content, what you're going to put underneath that title. Now once that's done, you can add tags if you want. Tags are a little bit of a way of sort of getting people to search for it a bit easier, to get a bit more information. So I could put Digied in there, I could put all of your names if I wanted to, and then as people search the blog site and search for that particular thing, it'll bring up that article. And then apart from that, the only other thing which I generally need to do sometimes is add a feature image, which basically means that on the front page it will come with an image next to your title. For today I'm not going to bother doing that, but one thing which I am going to do is I'm going to go to Add Media. I've already got a few different things there. I'm going to add a picture actually into the post itself. So since we like to use this sort of effect constantly with all of our posters, I uploaded that yesterday ready for it. You literally click what you need.
Video from Panopto.
Now the video from Panopto you'd have to download first and probably store it somewhere else, but what you can do is do an embed, so you can do an iframe. So if you go to Panopto and choose share, it comes up with a link or embed. If you click embed, it will give you a code.
Copy that.
And then you literally just copy and paste that in. I did it the other day with our new website, which is launching shortly, and some of the previous Digied events as well, which I can show you in a bit if you'd like. So yeah, if you just click the image and click insert to post, it should then pop it where you need to. A bit like Word, you can sort of resize it by dragging it with the corners until you're happy. And then once you're happy, you can either preview it, which will bring up sort of a, how is it looking currently at the moment. I always do a bit of a preview first, because it might be that, say, the picture's unaligned or you want to change the formatting of it slightly. If you're happy with it, you can go straight back to this page and click publish. And then once it's published, which will be very shortly, there you go, it's published. If I click back to the home page, it should come up with all the posts that we've got, which is this one here. If you want to have a comment on it, which I know Kirsty does for her students, you have to allow comments first. Now, if you are worried about your students possibly saying things they shouldn't do, you can always do a moderation. It does take a bit more time. What it will do is put it in sort of the background. You can have a look through them, make sure that they're all okay, and then approve them once they're ready. If you don't want to do comments, you can turn them off completely, or you can just do what Kirsty does and let them have free reign on it. Since it's for their assessments, I'm sure they're probably not saying things they shouldn't do. But yeah, so if you click on the article which you'd like to comment on, it's got a big section at the bottom saying comment. I can say, I am commenting, and leave it as a comment, and click post. And then it should quickly reload it. And my comment is now just below my article. And that's essentially what you're going to be doing today, is having a little go. It doesn't matter what the subject's on, you can just do a very simple one like I've done today. And then I thought afterwards, if you go to the homepage, you can have a go at trying to comment on other people's ones. So if you need any help yet again, I'll be here. Wonderful. I can see most of you already logged in, which is great.
Can you delete your own comments?
You can, yes. Inside of the sort of dashboard, there's a certain area, just over here, which is called comments. And what it will do is every single comment that's ever put on anywhere will appear here. And say, for example, I think, oh, that should not be on there. I can either spam it, bin it, edit it, or just unapprove it, and then it won't be seen by everybody else. So as I said, it depends what your settings are. Mine are automatic because I trust all of you lot. That it's just going to be approved and it will go through. If you want to actually put that on there, it's inside your settings, and we can help you with that. Just make sure that it's all sort of blocked off so you can moderate them all. But this is where you would come to moderate them after.